Hello, race fans. We are back with another edition of the Race Face Drive-In 5 Updates podcast. Jacob Seelman back in the host chair like always. I have Florida's Matthew Laprade back with us, who has pretty much, I'm not going to say completely turned your focus away from the legend car to the Pro Truck, but you're certainly a regular now in the Pro Trucks this season. And I think your recent runs have definitely spoken to that. I want to talk about that first because you are actually coming off a pair of races this past weekend at Pensacola at Five Flag Speedway and at Mobile International Speedway. Ended up second in both races in what was a pretty cool opportunity. Your first time getting to drive the 54 for Grant Thompson Racing. So before we talk about that itself, why don't you take us through the just through both races from your eyes? I know the Pensacola race, you didn't necessarily cross the line second, but circumstances ended up giving you the second place.
Yeah, we ended up only getting 15 laps of practice on Thursday, and then Friday we got 10-minute session, and then we qualified, which I qualified second, which was really well. And we ended up not making it well on the outside, and I dropped back a few positions down into turn number two. And then as we came into the later stage of the race, there was a caution that came out, and we were all double file again, and I ended up being able to pick off two cars off the outside line, and that brought us into third place, which we ended up finishing second in tech because one of the drivers got DQ'd. At Mobile on Saturday, we tested a few times in the morning, and we had a little bit of brake issues, so we were trying to clean that up. So we didn't really get that much testing time by the time we got our brake issues cleaned up with. The Thompson truck was really, really fast. Their coaching was really good. We were able to get some good laps in during practice, and we put it fifth in qualifying, I'm pretty sure. And we started the race pretty good, and we were just kind of riding around for a few laps. And then me and the 78 truck, we ended up getting a little bit of contact because of a lap car down our inside, and that brought out the yellow flag. And from there, I was back in fifth position, and I was able to drive my way up to second after that, passing a few cars on the outside. And then we finished there and ended there.
I know, talking about that caution that set up the late restart, that really was what helped you, that restart, being able to get to the outside and make a couple passes for position. I imagine that had to have felt really good, just knowing that you've been able to. I know restarts were a skill that you wanted to work on going into this year, so that had to feel good, I'm sure, knowing that some of that work paid off.
Yeah, it definitely did feel really great because the shifter box and those are way different than the ones in my pro truck at Florida. And those ones you have to, it's an H pattern shifter, and so it's a little bit different. So, that was a really good experience for me. I feel like I learned a lot through those two races, and I learned what I need to work on and what I'm good at.
You talked about the coaching a little bit. What was that like being able to have not just Grant, who's driven that truck a lot, but his dad, John, I know has been a wealth of knowledge to young drivers in the past. What was it like being able to kind of bounce some thoughts off them and really be able to learn and soak up some knowledge from them?
So Grant's driven the truck many times, and he's always been great in it. And that gives me a lot of confidence that I know the truck's capable of doing this or that. But John, he just helped me coach step by step through the weekend, and he made me better every single time we went out on the track.
What's your confidence level now, not just from their coaching, but knowing, okay, we finished second the last two times out. I know you haven't gone to victory lane in the pro truck yet, but I have to believe between all the teams that you've been with this year that you feel like maybe that first win is coming soon.
Yeah, I feel like for our next race with Daniel Webster, it's going to be at Auburndale. It's twin 50s. I feel like we'll have a really good chance. I feel like I'm way more confident with the truck, and I feel like I can make some adjustments to the truck, and we can make that truck better so I can be able to make better passes and be faster on that track.
I'm sure you're excited to get back with Daniel on the right foot down, guys, because you've run with Grant this past weekend. You ran a race at Houston with Kirby Honeycutt not that long ago, but it's been a bit since you've been with those guys at Auburndale.
Yeah, it's definitely been a minute. I've been excited back to get back in their car. We were planning to run some sportsman races throughout this year, and it's going to be a lot of fun racing with that team.
I know originally we were thinking that you were going to be able to race at Houston this weekend, get another shot at that track. I know weather kind of knocked those plans out for the time being, but I do know you still have some races coming later in the season back at Houston with Kirby and his group. What did you think of Houston your first time there a couple weeks ago? What were your impressions of the track and maybe how it was different than some of the places you've run before?
Houston was definitely a really tricky track to learn because you don't really trust the truck at first, but you can drive it so hard in a three that it's crazy. It just sticks there. And that track drives so much different than the other tracks that I've driven before. And it took me a while to get used to the track, I'll say that. But once we figured it out, we were pretty fast.
Before we give your sponsor shout outs, I got to give a call to your track house hat up there. I'm curious because I've never asked you this. Are you a fan of the track house NASCAR team, or where did that come from?
Yes, sir, I am. I've needed a hat for a while, a new hat. And I really like Trackhouse, so my dad bought me this Trackhouse hat.
Nice. Before we let you go, I know at least right now your next planned race is Saturday, May 24th, like you were talking about those Twin 50s at Auburndale. We're not going to say you might not pick something up in the meantime, but at least for now, that's what we know. I also know that between jumping around with Kirby, racing with Grant and John, and of course with Daniel Webster and Right Foot Down Motorsports, there's a ton of people, a ton of partners that help make it possible for you to do what you do on the racetrack. So let's give them a shout out real quick.
I'd like to thank the Friends of Jacqueline Foundation, Wade Tractor, Adrenaline Power Sports, and Race Car Engineering.
All right, Matthew, it's been a lot of fun to watch your growth here recently in the Pro Truck. We're excited for you, and we'll look forward to hopefully having more good things to talk about in a few weeks after those Twin 50s.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's Matthew Laprade. I'm Jacob Seelman. As always, this is Raceface Drive-In 5. Keep it tuned every day to raceface.tv, not just for the latest from all our Raceface drivers, but everything from around the world of motorsports as well.